Hey everyone, welcome back to All Walks Sociology. Today, we're exploring how settler colonialism, far from being just a historical event, continues to drive modern inequalities and systemic racism across the globe.
Yeah, this is huge. We'll trace it from historical land dispossession to the ways those colonial structures still shape wealth gaps, healthcare disparities, and more. Our conversation pulls from notes titled, Unveiling the Legacy of Settler Colonialism, Economic Inequities, Structural Racism, and the Path to Justice. Let's dive in by looking at a prime historical example, the 1887 Dawes Act in the United States.
The Dawes Act fragmented tribal lands, breaking up communal territories into individual plots. This effectively decimated Native American economic bases, kicking off cycles of poverty that are still felt by indigenous communities today.
And that's just one example. Under settler colonialism, it wasn't just land that was lost. Cultural disruption, forced displacement, and long-term social and economic marginalization also took root. So, fast forward to the 21st century, those old colonial power dynamics haven't disappeared. Instead, they've morphed into structural racism, where institutions systematically favor some groups over others.
We see it in the exploitation of informal workforces where people toil under hazardous conditions with minimal protections. This echoes colonial labor practices, viewing entire communities as disposable.
Then there's racial capitalism, the idea that racial hierarchies were, and often still are, used to justify economic exploitation. Look at wealth gaps and healthcare disparities, and you'll see these threads of colonial logic lingering.
So how do we dismantle something so entrenched?
According to the article, land restitution is a key solution. It's about returning ancestral lands to indigenous communities.
Of course, that's complicated. There are legal hurdles, conflicting claims, and practical challenges. Still, giving land back can address a core injustice of settler colonialism.
But that alone isn't enough. We also need to confront structural racism in policies and institutions, recognizing how colonial frameworks continue to operate beneath the surface. Let's get real and talk concrete steps. Action item number 1, research and support Indigenous-led organizations and movements working on land rights, cultural preservation, and self-determination.
Action item number 2, develop or use decolonization toolkits. These can include guides for land acknowledgements, templates for advocacy letters, and policy change how-tos.
Action item number 3, education initiatives are crucial. Dive into works by Indigenous scholars and activists for first-hand perspectives. Don't just skim, really engage with these voices.
Action item number 4, create platforms for sharing Indigenous stories, podcasts, community events, or social media, so that more people understand the human impact behind the headlines.
Action item number 5, support Indigenous-owned businesses and practice conscious consumption. When you vote with your wallet, you help sustain local economies and challenge exploitative systems.
Action item number 6, political advocacy. Contact elected officials, sign petitions, show up at protests, and voice your support for policies that promote equity and reparation.
Remember, these changes don't just happen in legislative halls. They start in our daily lives, through the conversations we spark and the decisions we make at home and in our communities.
Exactly. Even a simple step like calling out racist or discriminatory language among friends can help dismantle those harmful narratives entrenched in society.
And once you start acting, you inspire others to do the same. This collective momentum is how we chip away at centuries of injustice. Every action, big or small, adds up. So keep learning, keep questioning, and keep pushing for justice in your own sphere. There's hope. Through land restitution, supporting Indigenous-led organizations, implementing decolonization toolkits, educating ourselves, and amplifying marginalized voices, real change is possible. So there you have it. Settler colonialism isn't just historical, it's an ongoing reality that shapes our world. From the Dawes Act to racial capitalism, these forces persist unless we consciously address them. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. If you found this conversation valuable, please subscribe, like, and share to help spark more discussions.
And remember, we're all part of this story. Let's do our part to create a more equitable future, starting now.
Until next time, take care everyone, and let's keep moving forward together.